Good evening and welcome everyone to Right Side Broadcasting coverage of President Trump's address to the joint session of Congress. Very excited to be here with you tonight. My name is Steve Lookner. We are going to be bringing you President Trump's address live starting, in a little less than an hour now. So it's supposed to start at 9 p.m. Eastern. Really excited to bring this to you. And this is our pre-coverage of President Trump's address. So we're going to talk a little bit about the address, some rumors that were flying about it today. Who knows if they're true? We'll see. We're going to talk about that kind of stuff. But we'd also like to get your feedback. What are you looking forward to in the address? What do you hope President Trump talks about? What do you think about these rumors that have been going around today, which we'll talk about in a second? So we'd love to hear what you have to say about this address. If you want to write in and give your comment, I'd love to read it on the air, as long as it's clean. Or if you have a question, would love to do my best to answer it. So the ways to reach me, they're on your screen right now. There's two ways to reach me and send in your comment or question. The first is go to my Twitter, which is @Lookner, @LOOKNER, and direct message me there. Or email me at steve.lookner@rsbn.tv. Again, would love to hear your questions and comments on the show. What do you think about this speech coming up? Are you excited? Are you are you wondering what he's going to say? Do you think he'll stick to the script or not? I'll talk about this in a second. There was a document that I saw today that went around, which is like talking points for President Trump's speech. But will he stick to teleprompter? Will he just start saying things off the top? No, I don't want to say off the top of his head, but maybe stuff that's not in the prompter. Will there be any late changes? What do you think will happen tonight? Really interesting. How about this? Will he be optimistic or pessimistic? Will he be talking about some of the flaws he sees in America right now, like he did in his inauguration speech? Or will he focus more on policy for the future? Will he talk about Justice Gorsuch and the confirmation hearing coming? Will he not talk about that? What will he talk about? So personally, I'm taking with a grain of salt everything I've heard that he might talk about tonight, because I feel like you never know with President Trump. And also with President Trump, he always loves a surprise. So what will the surprise be? So again, would love to hear your comments and your questions and read them out to everyone. So if you want to reach me, either direct message me at @Lookner, @LOOKNER, or you can email me at steve.lookner@rsbn.tv. President Trump's joint address to Congress will be right here at Right Side. You don't even have to switch windows. It's going to be in this window. And then so at about, 55 minutes, we'll go to the speech. And then after the speech, we'll come back for a bit of post-show, and we'll discuss what we heard. So very much looking forward to bringing you the speech tonight and talking about it with you. The thing I will start off with, I think this qualifies as breaking news. And this was reported today a bunch just in the last couple hours, and I have no idea if it's true. Well, here's what I think might be true, but I have no idea if it bears on the speech. So reportedly, President Trump met with a bunch of news anchors today at the White House. And reportedly, in this meeting, he talked about being open to a compromise immigration bill. Now, it's not entirely clear, it wasn't spelled out as far as I read, what exactly this would involve. But you might think that when he says compromise immigration bill, what he's talking about is something like, well, we'll firm up the borders, and we won't we'll make it much harder to get in the country for future people. But the compromise is that we will let, say, some people who are in the country illegally have a path to either permanent residency or citizenship. It seems like if he says if President Trump is talking about a compromise immigration bill, if anybody's talking about compromise immigration bill, it seems like part of the compromise is going to be something to do with letting some of the people already here illegally stay here permanently, whether as citizens or permanent residents. And who knows, it could be, there's lots of versions of what it could be. It could be the dreamer kids. So it could be kids who were brought in really young, at a really young age to this country. Maybe they could stay permanently. I don't know. But anyways, this rumor has been floating around. I saw it reported on both CNN and MSNBC today that he had said this today. So a couple things. First of all, there's this question, if he did say this today, Well, first of all, is he really going to follow through on that? He could have just said it, and who knows what this will bear. So policy-wise, we don't know if this is going to be borne out in the future. But also, we have no idea if he'll say anything about this in his speech. So certainly, if President Trump wanted to make a splash, he could talk about doing some kind of immigration grand bargain bill in his speech. That would certainly make a lot of news. However, one thing that I also think would happen if he did that a lot of people in President Trump's base would be upset, because that would seem to go against the thrust of his campaign position on immigration, which is, if I'm remembering correctly, not letting people stay in the country who are here illegally. Oh, and I believe there was at some point during the campaign, I know I heard him say this, he would say things like, well, perhaps people who are here illegally might eventually be able to stay, but they would have to leave the country first. The reports I heard today said something like the compromise. Well, and just to be clear here, there were reports of something President Trump himself said at a meeting, and there was also reports floating around of something a White House official was saying about President Trump's position. So a lot of this has been floating out there today, but I heard a report which said something like, well, President Trump would consider letting people stay in the country who are here illegally, at least letting some people stay permanently if they did X, Y, and Z, and they wouldn't have to leave the country first. So anyways, if he were to come out with some kind of proposal or talk in this speech about a compromise immigration bill and being willing to make a compromise, that would certainly be gigantic news. But at the same time, I do think there would be a gigantic uproar among some President Trump's supporters. So we'll see what happens. A whole other thing to consider about this is the following, and this I feel I haven't seen talked much about today, but it's relevant here, especially when we're talking about the immigration stuff. From reports I have heard, President Trump's new revised travel ban executive order is supposed to come out tomorrow. This is also like breaking news that came out in the last couple hours. President Trump's travel ban executive order, the new one's supposed to come out tomorrow. And reportedly, this was in the Wall Street Journal, I saw it there, the travel ban would be roughly similar to the previous executive order, except it would specifically exclude people with green cards, it would specifically exclude people with visas, and it would also take out the part about favoring in the future refugee applications from people who are religious minorities, which some people interpreted as being favoring Christian and anti-Muslim. So it would basically be the same executive order with those things taken out, and those things were like the big things people were complaining about, and were also seen as like the big issues that came up when federal courts would issue rulings saying that this executive order, the original one, might be unconstitutional. So it seems like this thing is coming out tomorrow. This executive order, if the reports are right, it'll come out tomorrow, and it'll be some sort of modified version of the original one with certain problematic parts taken out, but the core of the executive order, the travel ban stuff, still there. So this raises a possibility to me. I have no idea if this will happen, but given how President Trump has operated in the past, I certainly think this is a possibility. Let's say in the speech tonight, President Trump says something about compromise immigration reform. I don't know if that'll happen. I think that it's certainly not like, I wouldn't say it's a high possibility that it happens, because, as I said before, if he were to say something like that, I think there'd be a lot of his base that would be upset with him. But let's say he mentions it or sort of hints at it or something. So you might get a lot of people when he does that saying, oh, well, President Trump has now changed his position on immigration. But something I could see, I feel, would be in the realm of something President Trump could do, would be to hint at compromise tonight, and yet tomorrow, just a day later, come out with a travel ban, which seems like which some people might interpret as anti-immigration. So you might, if he brings up, I guess the point to me is, if he brings up this something tonight about compromising, don't read into that too much, because tomorrow we're likely to have just a travel ban come out, which is preventing immigrants from coming to the country. And, you know, President Trump, I think he's someone who leaves his options open. He's a negotiator. He doesn't put all his chips on the table at first. He likes maybe to float some things and see what people think. So even if this compromise immigration thing gets floated tonight, I wouldn't read too much into it. But who knows? We will see what happens. Okay, I want to see if you have any comments so far. I would love to hear what your thoughts are about this coming speech tonight. So again, we are here at Right Side Broadcasting. So excited. We are covering President Trump's address to the joint session of Congress tonight, live. It's supposed to start in about 45 minutes. Very excited to bring that to you. We will go to it right when it happens, and then we'll do some pre-show after. Very excited. And if you want to, we'd love to hear your comments while we're in the pre-show. What are you thinking about this? What do you think? So what do you think he'll talk about? Will there be any surprises? Do you think he'll read off the prompter a lot, or do you think he'll be more non-promptery? What do you think there will be Democrats in the audience booing? Do you think they will keep quiet? Will there be heckling going on of any kind? What do you think? Would love to hear what you think. If you want to reach me during this pre-show, you can either direct message me on Twitter at Lookner, at Lookner. That's my Twitter handle. Or you can email me at steve.lookner@rsbn.tv. That information should be on your screen right now. By the way, a couple people have already written in. I want to hear what they have to say. Lukey P. writes in, do you think Trump will talk more presidential? Well, that would imply, Lukey P., that I think he's being less presidential before. But I think I see what you're getting at. I think what you're saying, Lukey P., is something like, will he talk more like the typical president talks? And by that you might mean, will President Trump tonight not be so, some might say, will he make more of an effort in his speech to like reach out to Democrats, or to say not point out faults he finds in the current American situation and be more sort of generally hopeful and positive? Those would be two things which I guess a typical president might do in a speech like that. Do I think he'll do it? You know what, Lukey P., I can genuinely say I don't know. Because I do think, for example, with the inauguration speech, I think a lot of people were saying, okay, President Trump's going to come out in the inauguration speech and he's going to reach out across the aisle and he's going to be hopeful and talk about all these positive things happening. And he surprised a lot of people because he really focused on a lot of the problems America that he was having in his mind. And he thought a lot of his supporters, I think, shared this view about problems America was having. And some people saw that as like a bit of a negative thing, but some people certainly saw it as like, this is not what we expected from him. So I don't think he's someone who you can really just think you know exactly what he's going to do. And I don't know. I certainly could see reasons why he might want to try to reach out to Democrats tonight and also, maybe veer away from some of the confrontationalness against like the press. That's another thing where he's been talking a lot over the last few weeks. I don't have to tell you if you follow the news, but he's been having this go back and forth with the press where he might say something negative about them and they say something negative about him. And he's been critical of them. And you might think tonight he's not going to do any of that. It's the speech. It's a big national speech, joint session of Congress. He's just going to put that aside. Now, you might think that, but he just might not. And that, to me, you can't predict that with him. So it makes it kind of exciting to watch because I genuinely don't know what will happen. So it's a good question, Lukey P. And I can just say, based on the evidence I've seen, that makes me think I don't know. That's what I'll say. So we'll see. Peter the Deplorable writes in, I'm looking forward to him reaffirming his policies. We are going to build the wall and we are going to make America great again. Thank you, Peter the Deplorable. So this is something that in the document I saw, which came out today, which Zeke Miller from Time tweeted this out, and I actually retweeted this on my Twitter feed. So if you want to see this, this was supposedly talking points for President Trump's speech tonight. And if you want to see this, you can go to my Twitter. If you want to follow me on Twitter, I'm at Lookner, at Lookner. I tweeted this out recently, so it's one of the most recent tweets on my Twitter feed. And it's a document that Zeke Miller from Time posted, and it basically said these are the main points he's going to cover in his speech. Now, who knows if this is accurate? I mean, Zeke Miller to me is generally a reputable person, and I like following him on Twitter. But you never know whether it's accurate or not. Even if it was accurate when it came out, does President Trump maybe switch his speech towards as we get closer to speech? Maybe he's making changes right now, so who knows? But according to that document, at least, a number of the items in that document were items where President Trump, as you said, Peter the Deplorable, reaffirms his policies and talks about things he's going to do. And these things he's going to do are things he has been saying again and again. And so I have it in front of me right now. This is supposedly the talking points that Zeke Miller tweeted out that he had seen for President Trump's speech. And they were things like, I'm just going down the list here, less regulation for the economy, so to get the economy going, tax reform, corporate tax reform, more school choice. Let's not have as much violence going on. Let's respect law enforcement. We support NATO, but we want the other countries to meet their obligations. So there's a bunch of stuff in here that if you've been following President Trump, you've heard before. We'll see though what he does. I mean, I certainly think there's going to be some talking about stuff he's already accomplished, and that was also in these talking points too, but it would surprise me if there wasn't. I also do think there will be, as you suggested, was it Pete who said this? Let me just see if I can see this again. Peter the Deplorable. I think as you suggested, Peter, there will be some talking about policies that he's been talking about, and that shouldn't be a surprise. Things like you said, the wall and other policies that he's talked about, corporate tax reform. But there might be new policies as well. So we will have to see. It's exciting to see. I genuinely, most presidents, I feel like, if you got the talking points before, you'd be like, that's what they're going to talk about. I genuinely don't know what President Trump's going to talk about. So, I mean, I think I have a general, he's going to talk about the stuff he's going to do as president, but you just don't know about the specifics. And he's a showman. He likes to do things in a big way. So I'm not saying there'll be any big surprises tonight. But if he's going to announce something big, this would be a time to do it, because this is such a big speech. It's basically the State of the Union address. So, and I should clarify that as well, in case you didn't know this. So President Trump does not give a State of the Union address this year, but this is basically the State of the Union address. Like the State of the Union address, it's to a joint session of Congress. And traditionally, what happens is, in a president's first year of office, they give this address around the same time as the State of the Union. But it's not called the State of the Union. It's called it's the address to the joint session of Congress. So basically, this is the State of the Union in everything but name. Although I guess you could say in the State of the Union, you're supposed to talk about how the country is going. But I'm pretty sure President Trump will do something like that too. So basically, this takes the place of the State of the Union for this year. And that's a big speech. It's really like, boy, I don't know if there will be another speech this whole year where the country all tunes in. I mean, there could be like some kind of crisis or something, but just a non-crisis national speech where everybody tunes in. This could be the biggest audience he has for a speech this year. So it's a really important speech. I was looking at the ratings numbers, and just in terms of TV viewers, I mean, every year over the last, 10, 15 years, this gets 35 to 40 million viewers, and that doesn't even count the people watching it on the internet and stuff. So it's a really big audience. So big speech, important speech. If he's going to announce something big, maybe he'll do it here. We'll see. So I'm looking forward to seeing it. Okay, so just to catch you up on the clock, it's 7:21, well, it's 8:21 Eastern time right now. Scheduled at 9 o'clock Eastern, we will be going to President Trump's address to the joint session of Congress. We will be covering it live. We will have it live for you. You do not have to open up another window. You do not have to go to another YouTube channel. You can stay right here. Just leave this open and you will see the speech. And then after the speech, we'll come back and we'll talk about it a bit. And we'll do some post coverage and maybe get some of your comments. I'd like to do that on what you thought about the speech. I am Steve Lookner, by the way. We're talking about the speech. We're getting your comments on the speech. Again, if you want to write in either comments or questions, I'm happy to read them on the air and share them. Either if you want to do that, the information's on your screen. Either go to my Twitter, which is @Lookner, @LOOKNER, and direct message me, or you can email me at steve.lookner@rsbn.tv. And I should say again, because I feel like this is the real important sort of breaking news thing that was out there about the speech in the last couple hours. There's a rumor around, I saw it on MSNBC and CNN, who knows, that, well, there's this story out that President Trump said to some reporters today, hey, I might be open to a compromise bill on immigration, which maybe suggests some sort of bill where he lets certain people who are here illegally stay in the country either as citizens or as just permanent residents. Who knows? So that rumor was out there that it wasn't just a rumor. Jake Tapper actually tweeted like I believe he tweeted he heard this because he was in the lunch. But if he didn't hear it himself, I heard reports that reporters who were there, actually, I heard reports, so let me take this back about Jake Tapper. I heard reports that reporters there said they heard this firsthand, but they didn't want to say their names. So who knows? I guess there's always a question whether this report is true or not. But there's this whole other question as to whether, if it's true, will he mention it in the speech or not? So who knows? I have no idea what to tell you whether this will come up during the speech or not. Maybe it will, maybe it won't, maybe it's true, maybe it's not. Even if it was true today, will President Trump, is it just something he threw out and doesn't intend to really go? Maybe he just threw it out for some negotiating purpose. Who knows? Anyways, let's get to your comments. A bunch of people wrote in here. We have a comment from Norway. Norway says, hi Norway, by the way, you say, do you expect President Trump will address the fact that only about a handful of his cabinet has been approved and Democrats are filibustering the 549 candidates that remain? So I believe, Norway, you're intentionally exaggerating in that there are not 549 cabinet nominees who are, because the cabinet is not 550 people. Now, will he address the fact more generally that that the process has been, say, slow for the cabinet? It's possible. I'm trying to think, Norway. I should know this, and off the top of my head, I'm trying to think, like, who in the cabinet still needs to be confirmed? Where are we with that? Who needs? Well, because Secretary of Navy, that still has to be done. But that's not the cabinet. I don't believe, because I think that's appointed. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think. Anyways, so somebody can write in and correct me. But let me say this. I certainly don't think if there's anybody from the cabinet that needs to be still confirmed, it's like most of the cabinet. I think it's a very small number of the cabinet that would still need to be confirmed. But you are right in that it's taken a while. And will he talk about this? Good question, I don't know. I think if he talks about the cabinet stuff, strictly speaking the cabinet, will he, that would seem to signal a more like pessimistic or negative speech rather than like an optimistic trying to like be nice speech. Because he could, if he wants to, talk about the stuff with the difficulties in getting his cabinet nominees confirmed. I'm guessing Democrats won't like if he talks about that. But it's totally legitimate if he wants to talk about it, to talk about it. So I think that's one of these things, depending on where he decides to go with his speech. Is he combative? If so, he might bring that up and say, look what I'm facing here. I'm trying to get stuff done and they're delaying my cabinet nominees. Or President Trump might say, might avoid talking about it all and try to like be a unifier tonight or something. So I think it's a very good question. We will see. And also, if Norway, I misinterpreted your question about the cabinet people being confirmed and there was something else you meant by that, please feel free to write in and let me know what you meant by the question. Because you're a smart guy, and I know that. So I don't think any less of you. Let's see if there are other comments here. This is from Washington for Trump. Washington for Trump says, President Trump knows exactly what he's doing and will never apologize or back down. Not tired of winning. So I'm wondering, Washington for Trump, when you say President Trump won't back down, does that suggest that you think tonight President Trump won't sort of go out and make nice, and also President Trump won't want to compromise on his immigration stance, and he won't offer, like tonight, a compromise to maybe compromise on immigration, that he will be very combative tonight? So perhaps you think that, Washington for Trump. So we'll see what happens. Thank you for your comment. We have a comment from Deplorable Sunny. Deplorable Sunny says, Democrats bringing illegal immigrants tonight need ICE agents. We want unity, so sick of the old division. So I think what you might be talking about, Sonny, and you gave me a link, is it that the Democrats are bringing as their guests certain illegal immigrants? Is that what you're saying? So there's a Breitbart article you had me linked to, and it said, according Rush Limbaugh had said today, Democrats are inviting immigrants that are in the country illegally, to which Rush Limbaugh suggested Trump should have ICE agents there waiting for them. So I don't have the exact figure about who the Democrats are bringing tonight. I could take a second and look this up, but that would be really boring for you. But I would encourage you to look it up. And it seems, but your comment is, Deplorable Sonny, you're saying here something like, well, if Democrats do bring these immigrants here, illegal immigrants who are not supposed to be in the country, tonight to this speech, that seems to you, Deplorable Sonny, that it's unnecessarily divisive. And Deplorable Sonny, you say something interesting. You say you want unity. And so you're not even saying like, hey, forget about the Democrats, like, President Trump should just do whatever he wants. You're saying you want both sides to work together and get stuff done. And you're saying that bringing these people, these illegal immigrants, if they are brought to the speech, would be divisive. So that's a very interesting point. For those of you who haven't seen it also, Melania Trump, the First Lady, is bringing a number of guests tonight. And the guests that she has sitting in her box are usually ones that the president might refer to during the speech to make political points. And if I remember this, I posted it last night on my Twitter. Let's see if I have it here. If I can call it up quickly, I will call it up. If not, I will not call it up. So I can't find it here. I had it here somewhere. I can't find it. Basically, let's see if I can remember. I can't even. So yes, I do know that at least one of the people in the First Lady's box is someone whose family member was a victim of violence caused by an immigrant who is not legally here. So there was that happening. There's also a guy who started a company. His daughter has some disease, and he started a company to try to cure the disease. But that information is out there if you want to go look it up, if you want to look it up on the web and know who is going to be in the First Lady's box. So let me just take a sip of water. I put my cup too far away, sorry. Okay, so we are here covering, it's the pre-show for President Trump's address to the joint session of Congress. So excited you've joined us tonight for this pre-coverage and for this speech. It is 8:30 Eastern right now. If all goes on schedule, President Trump's speech will start at 9 Eastern, just a half an hour from now. We will be going there live with live footage of the speech. You can leave it right here. Leave this window open, whether it's on your phone or your computer or on your TV with your TV app or whatever. Leave it open because you don't have to go anywhere. The speech will be right here. We'll go right from me to the speech. And then after the speech, we will come back and talk about the speech for a few minutes. So looking forward to that. Looking forward to the speech. It's his first State of the Union speech, even though it's not the State of the Union, because in the first year it's not called the State of the Union, but it's basically like the State of the Union. So very big speech for President Trump. Very interested in seeing what he has to say. And if you want to make, so far we've had some excellent comments from people, as usual. We'd like to hear, as we wait for the speech and get closer to it, what do you think about the speech tonight? Are you looking forward to it? Are you nervous? Are there certain things you want President Trump to talk about? What do you think about the rumors of this compromise immigration position he might have taken today, where he said he might be open to a compromise bill on immigration? What do you think about that? Would love to hear your comments or your questions. If you want to send them in, I'm happy to read them on the air and share them with people, all the people out there. Either to do that, to get questions to me or comments to me, it's on your screen there. Either go to my Twitter, which is @Lookner, @LOOKNER, and direct message me on Twitter, or email me at steve.lookner@rsbn.tv. And we have a bunch of other things. We have a bunch of other comments on Twitter. I also I haven't checked my email in a minute. I just want to make sure I'm not leaving stuff there that hasn't been answered. Let's see. We have a question here. We have a question and we have a comment. Hold on, I'm opening this up. Sorry. Here is one. This is from native Californian Lee Downs. Lee says, I am a huge supporter of President Trump. This is supposed to be a Trump-supporting network. We should not promote the enemy. Do not talk about rumors. It does not help him. I am coming to really not like your network. That is bad. Well, I'm sorry, Lee, you're unhappy. I'm guessing you're referring to my talking about the reports on CNN and MSNBC today that said President Trump had said to reporters today, both President Trump had said to some reporters and a White House official had said that President Trump might be open to a compromise on immigration. Now, I don't think this is anti-Trump reporting this, because I could see a world in which President Trump decides to do this because for various reasons. Perhaps President Trump, let's say he decides to do some kind of compromise on immigration. Perhaps he thinks, look, we know President Trump thinks the immigration system's messed up. We know that. And I'm sure a lot of you agree. Maybe President Trump says, look, I want to fix this. I don't want to pass it on to another administration just like past presidents have done. And maybe President Trump thinks to himself, well, if I'm going to get an immigration, if we're going to really fix this, I got to bring some people in who aren't with me right now. Now, compromise can mean a lot of things. All I heard reported was President Trump perhaps said he was open to some kind of compromise on immigration, but that can mean a lot of different things. That doesn't, so he might, what he's thinking in his mind, if he were to think of a compromise, that might be what somebody else might not think is a very big compromise at all. So we are not here reporting any specifics about, as I said before, this was reported by CNN and MSNBC, and we're reporting it because it might affect the speech tonight. Maybe he'll say something about it on the speech tonight. But in no way, personally, I don't think reporting this is anti-President Trump or anything like that. And it might turn out that this totally is not going to be the position he pursues, and that's fine if it is. But if it is, I think he might have a reason for doing that. But there is a world in which I think he does pursue some sort of compromise, whatever that means, just to get the immigration problem solved. I'm guessing President Trump wants to solve the immigration problem. I know he does. He said he does. So, we'll see what happens with that. But I do respect your opinion, Lee. You don't have to agree with me. And I really do appreciate the question. I think it's a very good question. So thank you for writing in. Let us go. There's a couple other questions here. This one is from Maurice. Let's see. Okay. Maurice, I'm going to read your question, Maurice. You say, hello. First thing, my name is Maurice. I am dead walk in the channel, and I want to say thank you so much for having the gall and the guts to bring us truth, unaltered and factual news stories without any bias. I have a quick question, and hopefully you can answer it for me. Today, President Trump signed 3 executive orders. I think it was actually 2. One of which is crucial to me, for I am a sophomore in an all historically black college. In it details how President Trump wants to focus more on historically black colleges, more than our previous President Obama, and encourage more from my minority community to go and achieve their dreams. However, it was met with not surprising opposition from the new DNC leader and Democrats in general. How can a black conservative, a minority in an all-black Democratic institute like myself, be able to address black liberals who want to demonize him for every single thing, despite him doing some amazing things in his first month so far? Thank you very much, and keep riding on the Trump train. Thank you, Maurice, for your question. Great question. So that's a big question. I'm not going to certainly be able to address it all right now. But let me just say this. So yes, President Trump, one of the 2 executive orders he signed today was an executive order to basically give historically black colleges priority in his administration. He actually shifted the program which had been in existence to help historically black colleges from the Department of Education to inside the White House. Now, there is this big question as to actually the real thing one of the biggest thing these historically black colleges need is funding, because for various reasons they have less funding lately and they need federal government funding. So there is this question about, how much funding will they end up actually getting over the next 4 years. But the presidents of black colleges I saw interviewed today on TV said this is a good start. It shows that President Trump cares. By the way, if you want to watch what President Trump had to say about this executive order, it's on the YouTube site on Right Side now. You can look at the Right Side YouTube site and look up Trump signs black colleges executive order, and you can watch the video. And I actually talk a little before and explain a little more about it. But to get to the nub of your question, you were saying, how can a black conservative like yourself address black liberals who want to demonize President Trump for every single thing, despite him doing some amazing things in his first month? So I was kind of busy today and didn't see like much of the reaction to the Black College's response, but I will take you at your word, the Black College's executive order, but I will take you at your word that some in the black community were dissatisfied with it, or some in the Democratic community were dissatisfied with it. But I would just say, I think there's 4 years coming up, and President Trump has a lot of time to do stuff. So, I certainly think if somebody's skeptical of him now, you might think they shouldn't be skeptical, but give it some time. We will see what President Trump does, for example, with historically black colleges. And he has shown a sign now that he's going to give it priority. So, now all you can say, I would say, just say what you need to say. If you're gonna talk to some Democrats who are skeptical, say why you think you're positive. But I don't think you're necessarily going to convince them now. But he's only been in office a month anyway, so go out there and make your arguments. But at the same time, keep up with what's happening in the administration, because hopefully, over the course of time, President Trump will fulfill the promises he's made. And one of his promises he made today was to really support the historically black colleges. So keep your eye on it, and maybe in addition to what happened today with the executive order, we actually have some concrete things happening in the future. And when those things happen, you can say, look, now he's taking actions. So I think the best way to talk to Democrats and try to suggest to them that President Trump is being a good president, even if they're, and also specifically in your situation, the best way for you as a black conservative to defend President Trump to people who are skeptical of him in terms of supporting blacks is look what he actually does. And if, as he has suggested, he does things to help the black community, like help historically black colleges, reduce violence in cities, bring more jobs to this country and better paying jobs. And he has said he wants to do all these things to help the black community. I've heard him say these things. If he does do these things, you can then go to Democrats and say, look at these actions he's done. I think the actions will speak louder than the words. So keep an eye out for the actions and watch what he does. And when he does something that you think supports the black community, then say to people who are more skeptical, look what he did. That would be my advice. So good question, Maurice. Thank you. Let's go back. More comments coming in. Thank you for your comments. Let me just take a second here and summarize where we're at. So we are here in Right Side Broadcasting. My name is Steve Lookner. I am so excited to be and privileged to be hosting our pre-coverage at Right Side Broadcasting for President Trump's address to the joint session of Congress. It's coming up in, about 19 minutes at the top of the hour at 9 o'clock Eastern. President Trump will address the joint session of Congress. Very exciting. You know what? I need a drink for a second. My throat is getting dry. All better. So this will be coming up, and we are bringing it to you live right here. You don't have to go anywhere. As soon as the president walks out there, as soon as there's any word from the venue, we will cut away from me and go to the speech. You will see the speech in its entirety. I assume you'll even see President Trump walking in and shaking hands and all of that stuff. So we will go to that. You will see all that. Then we will come back here and talk about what we've just seen. So very exciting. And we are here. We're talking about what the speech is going to be like. What we think he might say, what we're hoping he'll say, what some rumors about what he might say, and we're taking your comments and your questions. We really want to hear what you have to think about this speech. So if you want to reach me during the pre-show, the information's on your screen. Either direct message me at Twitter at Lookner, at Lookner, or email me at steve.lookner@rsbn.tv. And by the way, feel free to follow me at Twitter as well. I like to tweet about politics. I especially like to tweet about stuff involving President Trump because I know a lot of you are interested in it. So if you want to, follow me at Twitter while you're there. Okay, let's go to some more comments, which we have. We have a comment from Tom the American. Tom the American says, Hey, Steve, I believe Norway was referring to the 500-some federal appointees who need Senate confirmation, not just cabinet positions. That said, Trump said today he would like to leave a lot of positions vacant, which sounds like a lot of draining the swamp to me. And I think, Tom, that, okay, so let me first address what you say, Tom. So, Tom, you talk about how there are more federal appointees who need Senate confirmation. Now, Tom, I have to confess, we're honest here at Right Side Broadcasting. This is one of these things that I have been neglectful in actually reading up on. I will go tonight and read up on this. I cannot confirm or speak to this because I don't know the exact facts here about how many appointees are not confirmed by the Senate. I just vaguely remember reading reports that there were appointees who hadn't been confirmed and that there were a bunch of positions unfilled. But I don't know, is this due to the Senate? Is this due to President Trump? Is this the normal way things are in a presidential at this stage of the administration? I got to do some more reading on this, Tom. It's a good question, and I thank you. Perhaps that's what Norway meant. But Norway actually wrote in again, so we'll hear what Norway had to say. Norway says 14 approved, 8 awaiting of the cabinet, 1 rejected. I'm wondering, I want to know this, is Secretary of the Navy in the cabinet? Is Secretary of the Navy in the cabinet? What do we think about this? Can I get a quick answer? I can't get a quick answer. Oh, I'm seeing Cabinet of the United States on Wikipedia. Let's see if there's a list there. You'd think it'd be easy for me to get a list. Oh, Secretary of State, Treasury, Interior, Agriculture, Labor, Urban Development, Energy. No, I don't think it is. So anyways, all right. Well, for now, I will trust you. This is another one of the things I will put on my list, Norway, of things to look up. Always happens here. People ask me, it's a good question, then I realize, I wish I knew that. I should have looked that up today, and I never looked it up. So thank you, Norway, for the clarification. Let's see. This is a question from Llama X. Llama X says, any idea if Trump would be able to cut the State Department budget? So what I had heard this being talked about this a bit today. So President Trump, if you had heard this yesterday, came out with an initial budget proposal. It's sort of an initial, it's something you throw out initially as part of a negotiation, because the budget process is a whole big negotiation. But President Trump's initial proposal was, I believe, increasing defense spending by $54 billion and then reducing discretionary spending to offset the defense spending. And I had also heard something about him maybe want to, and this is not confirmed, I'd heard this today, but I got to go check it again, that perhaps some of the spending cuts would come from the State Department. So that might be Llama X, what you're specifically referring to. I'm not sure if you are. But whether he can make these cuts, and I think I would answer this question with the more general question of whether he can make cuts in general. So Congress has got to ultimately approve any of these cuts. So this is going to be a process. Whatever cuts President Trump wants to make to any department, he's going to have to get Congress on board. Now, are they going to want to make these cuts of any type, State Department or other cuts? I've heard rumors that President Trump might want to cut, say, what else? Other federal programs. What else did I hear about this? I can't even think about it. I read a list of them today, and I'm sorry I am blanking on this. But anyways, there's this big question as to whether will President Trump get his military spending increase through Congress? Will he get these cuts through Congress? I don't know. So we got to see what happens with Congress. There's a lot to be done there and a lot of negotiating to be going on. So I do not have a good answer for you. I don't think I know enough about where Congress stands right now to give you a good answer on whether he will be able to cut the State Department budget. But we will see. I certainly will think it'll be interesting to follow the negotiations as they happen. So a very good question, Llama X. Thank you. This is from Robbie Ripke. Robbie Ripke says, I'm a lifetime RSBN viewer. Thank you, Robbie, so much for being a lifetime RSBN viewer. Thank you for everything y'all do. For we the people, you're welcome. Do you think Trump will change his haters' minds about him? Good question, Robbie. So this is related to Maurice's question from before. I think I'll give a similar answer. So will he change people's minds about him? I ultimately think people will decide whether their minds will change about President Trump depends on what he actually does as president. Right now, we're in a stage where a lot of people who oppose President Trump, I feel like, there's a lot of opposition to his rhetoric, maybe his bluntness, his manner of speaking. He might rub some people the wrong way. I certainly don't. I think a lot of times he'll say stuff and people misinterpret it and they shouldn't be rubbed so wrongly, but they are. But it's only been a little more than a month, about 4 weeks. And at a certain point, once we get a few years into the administration, there'll be a lot more stuff President Trump has done. Right now, he's come up with some executive orders, but there's so much to be done. And whether or not people like him personally or not, or like his manner or not, I think ultimately what people are going to judge President Trump on is what he does. So you say, do I think Trump will change people's minds about him? Well, I think he can change people's minds depending on what he does. I think if people are happy with what President Trump does, they'll change their mind. So I certainly don't think minds are unchangeable. I think there's people who are skeptical of him. I think there are people who, are ready to take everything he does and turn it and spin it in some bad way. But at a certain point, I think if first of all, for example, if President Trump really improves the economy, people are going to give him credit for that. If the economy is booming in a few years, that's going to be something that even the people who are really against him now, I think they're going to give him credit. If under President Trump, ISIS is wiped out, that's something he's going to get credit for. So we'll see what happens. I think it's going to depend. It's going to be tough to change the minds of some people, but I think minds can be changed depending on what he does. We'll see what happens. Very good question, Robbie Ripke. Thank you so much. So I want to say thank you to Robbie and all the other longtime viewers out there. We so appreciate it. A special thank you to the moderators of the chat room who are moderating right now. We appreciate it. A very special thank you as well to all the people who donated so far. So we say this, I haven't said it at this event, and I'll say it. We really appreciate the donors because we don't take big donations at this company. We want to be independent. We want to be able to have a free voice to say what we want and to broadcast the kind of stuff we think you want to see. So we don't take big donations. But as a result of that, we're kind of always on a shoestring budget here, and we would like to cover more events. We were in CPAC last week. We covered President Trump's Florida rally a couple weeks ago. So we want to go cover more live events. But it takes money to do that. So if you'd like to help us out and like to donate, we always appreciate the donations, and they really do keep us afloat and keep us being able to cover stuff. The ways to donate, there's 3 ways. One of them is go to rsbn.tv/donate. That's rsbn.tv/donate. Another one is go to gofundme.com/nextgenrsbn. That's gofundme.com/nextgenrsbn. And the third way to donate is if you're in the chat room, which is on the YouTube page next to the video, there's a little $sign icon there. If you click on that $sign in the chat room, you can donate that way. And even small donations, we really appreciate it. And we can't say enough how much we appreciate all you've donated in the past. Every single donation we get, no matter how big or how small, we take that really seriously, and we very much appreciate it, and it humbles us, and it makes us want to work that much harder for you guys. So thank you so much. We really appreciate it. Okay, we got about 10 minutes. Only 10 minutes. I'm just, wow. I'm excited to go watch it and then come back here. What's he going to say? I got to say personally, I hope he doesn't stick on prompter the whole time. I kind of like when he's off teleprompter. I think we get more of the real President Trump. I get the reasons he does it. And maybe if he has a specific, for example, perhaps he has a very specific message he wants to get out there, and it's like he knows this message is going to take this amount of time. He might want to stick to prompter just to make sure he covers everything, doesn't leave anything out, and doesn't digress or anything. So I get him wanting to stick to prompter, but I also think there's something about President Trump when he's not on prompter that you get the realist of President Trump. And so I kind of hope we get some of that unfettered, unfiltered President Trump. So I'm looking forward to that. And I hope there's just some kind of surprise in the sense of something we didn't expect. I think that's a very cool thing about President Trump is he's not predictable. He's not like this person who, in advance takes all these polls and says, oh, well, everybody says I should say X, Y, and Z, so I'll just plan the speech a week in advance and I'll just say all these things the polls say I'll say I should say. He's someone who can be spur of the moment, who can do something surprising, who does things, he's beholden to no one, he'll do whatever he thinks he should do. Oh, we're going to the feed now, so I guess I will see you after the speech. Enjoy. We'll talk to you later on.
Mr. Speaker, the President's Cabinet.
Mr. Speaker, the President of the United States.
Members of Congress, I have the high privilege and the distinct honor of presenting to you the President of the United States.
Thank you very much. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Vice President, members of Congress, the First Lady of the United States. And citizens of America, tonight, as we mark the conclusion of our celebration of Black History Month, we are reminded of our nation's path toward civil rights and the work that still remains to be done. Recent threats targeting Jewish community centers and vandalism of Jewish cemeteries, as well as last week's shooting in Kansas City, remind us that while we may be a nation divided on policies, we are a country that stands united in condemning hate and evil in all of its very ugly forms. Each American generation passes the torch of truth, liberty, and justice in an unbroken chain all the way down to the present. That torch is now in our hands, and we will use it to light up the world. I am here tonight to deliver a message of unity and strength, and it is a message deeply delivered from my heart. A new chapter of American greatness is now beginning. A new national pride is sweeping across our nation, and a new surge of optimism is placing impossible dreams firmly within our grasp. What we are witnessing today is the renewal of the American spirit. Our allies will find that America is once again ready to lead. All the nations of the world, friend or foe, will find that America is strong, America is proud, and America is free. In 9 years, the United States will celebrate the 250th anniversary of our founding, 250 years since the day we declared our independence. It will be one of the great milestones in the history of the world. But what will America look like as we reach our 250th year? What kind of country will we leave for our children? I will not allow the mistakes of recent decades past to define the course of our future. For too long, we've watched our middle class shrink as we've exported our jobs and wealth to foreign countries. We've financed and built one global project after another, but ignored the fates of our children in the inner cities of Chicago, Baltimore, Detroit, and so many other places throughout our land. We've defended the borders of other nations while leaving our own borders wide open for anyone to cross and for drugs to pour in at a now unprecedented rate. And we've spent trillions and trillions of dollars overseas, while our infrastructure at home has so badly crumbled. Then in 2016, the earth shifted beneath our feet. The rebellion started as a quiet protest spoken by families of all colors and creeds, families who just wanted a fair shot for their children and a fair hearing for their concerns. But then the quiet voices became a loud chorus as thousands of citizens now spoke out together from cities small and large all across our country. Finally, the chorus became an earthquake, and the people turned out by the tens of millions, and they were all united by one very simple but crucial demand: that America must put its own citizens first, because only then can we truly make America great again. Dying industries will come roaring back to life. Heroic veterans will get the care they so desperately need. Our military will be given the resources its brave warriors so richly deserve. Crumbling infrastructure will be replaced with new roads, bridges, tunnels, airports, and railways gleaming across our very, very beautiful land. Our terrible drug epidemic will slow down and ultimately stop. And our neglected inner cities will see a rebirth of hope, safety, and opportunity. Above all else, we will keep our promises to the American people. Thank you. It's been a little over a month since my inauguration, and I want to take this moment to update the nation on the progress I've made in keeping those promises. Since my election, Ford, Fiat Chrysler, General Motors, Sprint, SoftBank, Lockheed, Intel, Walmart, and many others have announced that they will invest billions and billions of dollars in the United States and will create tens of thousands of new American jobs. The stock market has gained almost $3 trillion in value since the election on November 8th, a record. We've saved taxpayers hundreds of millions of dollars by bringing down the price of fantastic, and it is a fantastic, new F-35 jet fighter, and we'll be saving billions more on contracts all across our government. We have placed a hiring freeze on non-military and non-essential federal workers. We have begun to drain the swamp of government corruption by imposing a 5-year ban on lobbying by executive branch officials and a lifetime ban. Thank you. Thank you. And a lifetime ban on becoming lobbyists for a foreign government. We have undertaken a historic effort to massively reduce job-crushing regulations, creating a deregulation task force inside of every government agency. And we're imposing a new rule which mandates that for every one new regulation, 2 old regulations must be eliminated. We're going to stop the regulations that threaten the future and livelihood of our great coal miners. We have cleared the way for the construction of the Keystone and Dakota Access pipelines. Thereby creating tens of thousands of jobs. And I've issued a new directive that new American pipelines be made with American steel. We have withdrawn the United States from the job-killing Trans-Pacific Partnership. And with the help of Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, we have formed a council with our neighbors in Canada to help ensure that women entrepreneurs have access to the networks, markets, and capital they need to start a business and live out their financial dreams. To protect our citizens, I have directed the Department of Justice to form a task force on reducing violent crime. I have further ordered the Departments of Homeland Security and Justice, along with the Department of State and the Director of National Intelligence, to coordinate an aggressive strategy to dismantle the criminal cartels that have spread all across our nation. We will stop the drugs from pouring into our country and poisoning our youth, and we will expand treatment for those who have become so badly addicted. At the same time, my administration has answered the pleas of the American people for immigration enforcement and border security. By finally enforcing our immigration laws, we will raise wages, help the unemployed, save billions and billions of dollars, and make our communities safer for everyone. We want all Americans to succeed, but that can't happen in an environment of lawless chaos. We must restore integrity and the rule of law at our borders. For that reason, we will soon begin the construction of a great, great wall along our southern border. As we speak tonight, we are removing gang members, drug dealers, and criminals that threaten our communities and prey on our very innocent citizens. Bad ones are going out as I speak, and as I've promised throughout the campaign. To any in Congress who do not believe we should enforce our laws, I would ask you this one question. What would you say to the American family that loses their jobs, their income, or their loved one because America refused to uphold its laws and defend its borders? Our obligation is to serve, protect and defend the citizens of the United States. We are also taking strong measures to protect our nation from radical Islamic terrorism. According to data provided by the Department of Justice, the vast majority of individuals convicted of terrorism and terrorism-related offenses since 9/11 came here from outside of our country. We have seen the attacks at home, from Boston to San Bernardino to the Pentagon, and yes, even the World Trade Center. We have seen the attacks in France, in Belgium, in Germany, and all over the world. It is not compassionate, but reckless to allow uncontrolled entry from places where proper vetting cannot occur. Those given the high honor of admission to the United States should support this country and love its people and its values. We cannot allow a beachhead of terrorism to form inside America. We cannot allow our nation to become a sanctuary for extremists. That is why my administration has been working on improved vetting procedures, and we will shortly take new steps to keep our nation safe and to keep those out who will do us harm. As promised, I directed the Department of Defense to develop a plan to demolish and destroy ISIS, a network of lawless savages that have slaughtered Muslims and Christians and men and women and children of all faiths and all beliefs. We will work with our allies, including our friends and allies in the Muslim world, to extinguish this vile enemy from our planet. I have also imposed new sanctions on entities and individuals who support Iran's ballistic missile program and reaffirmed our unbreakable alliance with the State of Israel. Finally, I have kept my promise to appoint a justice to the United States Supreme Court from my list of 20 judges who will defend our Constitution. I am greatly honored to have Maureen Scalia with us in the gallery tonight. Thank you, Maureen. Her late great husband, Antonin Scalia, will forever be a symbol of American justice. To fill his seat, we have chosen Judge Neil Gorsuch, a man of incredible skill and deep devotion to the law. He was confirmed unanimously by the Court of Appeals, and I am asking the Senate to swiftly approve his nomination. Tonight, as I outline the next steps we must take as a country, we must honestly acknowledge the circumstances we inherited. 94 million Americans are out of the labor force. Over 43 million people are now living in poverty, and over 43 million Americans are on food stamps. More than 1 in 5 people in their prime working years are not working. We have the worst financial recovery in 65 years. In the last 8 years, the past administration has put on more new debt than nearly all of the other presidents combined. We've lost more than 1/4 of our manufacturing jobs since NAFTA was approved, and we've lost 60,000 factories since China joined the World Trade Organization in 2001. Our trade deficit in goods with the world last year was nearly $800 billion. And overseas, we have inherited a series of tragic foreign policy disasters. Solving these and so many other pressing problems will require us to work past the differences of party. It will require us to tap into the American spirit that has overcome every challenge throughout our long and storied history. But to accomplish our goals at home and abroad, we must restart the engine of the American economy, making it easier for companies to do business in the United States and much, much harder for companies to leave our country. Right now, American companies are taxed at one of the highest rates anywhere in the world. My economic team is developing historic tax reform that will reduce the tax rate on our companies so they can compete and thrive anywhere and with anyone. It will be a big, big cut. At the same time, we will provide massive tax relief for the middle class. We must create a level playing field for American companies, and our workers have to do it. Currently, when we ship products out of America, many other countries make us pay very high tariffs and taxes. But when foreign companies ship their products into America, we charge them nothing or almost nothing. I just met with officials and workers from a great American company, Harley-Davidson. In fact, they proudly displayed 5 of their magnificent motorcycles made in the USA on the front lawn of the White House. And they wanted me to ride one, and I said, no, thank you. At our meeting, I asked them, how are you doing? How is business? They said that it's good. I asked them further, how are you doing with other countries, mainly international sales? They told me without even complaining, because they have been so mistreated for so long that they've become used to it, that it's very hard to do business with other countries because they tax our goods at such a high rate. They said that in the case of another country, they tax their motorcycles at 100%. They weren't even asking for a change, but I am. I believe strongly in free trade, but it also has to be fair trade. It's been a long time since we had fair trade. The first Republican president, Abraham Lincoln, warned that the abandonment of the protective policy by the American government will produce want and ruin among our people. Lincoln was right, and it's time we heeded his advice and his words. I am not going to let America and its great companies and workers be taken advantage of us any longer. They have taken advantage of our country. No longer. I'm going to bring back millions of jobs. Protecting our workers also means reforming our system of legal immigration. The current outdated system depresses wages for our poorest workers and puts great pressure on taxpayers. Nations around the world, like Canada, Australia, and many others, have a merit-based immigration system. It's a basic principle that those seeking to enter a country ought to be able to support themselves financially. Yet in America, we do not enforce this rule, straining the very public resources that our poorest citizens rely upon. According to the National Academy of Sciences, our current immigration system costs American taxpayers many billions of dollars a year. Switching away from this current system of lower-skilled immigration and instead adopting a merit-based system, we will have so many more benefits. It will save countless dollars, raise workers' wages, and help struggling families, including immigrant families, enter the middle class. And they will do it quickly, and they will be very, very happy indeed. I believe that real and positive immigration reform is possible as long as we focus on the following goals: to improve jobs and wages for Americans, to strengthen our nation's security, and to restore respect for our laws. If we are guided by the well-being of American citizens, then I believe Republicans and Democrats can work together to achieve an outcome that has eluded our country for decades. Another Republican president, Dwight D. Eisenhower, initiated the last truly great national infrastructure program, the building of the interstate highway system. The time has come for a new program of national rebuilding. America has spent approximately $6 trillion in the Middle East. All the while, our infrastructure at home is crumbling. With this $6 trillion, we could have rebuilt our country twice, and maybe even 3 times if we had people who had the ability to negotiate. To launch our national rebuilding, I will be asking Congress to approve legislation that produces a $1 trillion investment in infrastructure of the United States, financed through both public and private capital, creating millions of new jobs. This effort will be guided by 2 core principles: Buy American and Hire American. Tonight, I am also calling on this Congress to repeal and replace Obamacare. with reforms that expand choice, increase access, lower costs, and at the same time provide better health care. Mandating every American to buy government-approved health insurance was never the right solution for our country. The way to make health insurance available to everyone is to lower the cost of health insurance, and that is what we are going to do. Obamacare premiums nationwide have increased by double and triple digits. As an example, Arizona went up 116% last year alone. Governor Matt Bevin of Kentucky just said Obamacare is failing in his state, the state of Kentucky, and it's unsustainable and collapsing. 1/3 of the counties have only one insurer, and they're losing them fast. They are losing them so fast. They're leaving. And many Americans have no choice at all. There's no choice left. Remember, when you were told that you could keep your doctor and keep your plan, we now know that all of those promises have been totally broken. Obamacare is collapsing, and we must act decisively to protect all Americans. Action is not a choice, it is a necessity. So I am calling on all Democrats and Republicans in Congress to work with us to save Americans from this imploding Obamacare disaster. Here are the principles that should guide Congress as we move to create a better health care system for all Americans. First, we should ensure that Americans with pre-existing conditions have access to coverage and that we have a stable transition for Americans currently enrolled in the health care exchanges. Secondly, we should help Americans purchase their own coverage through the use of tax credits and expanded health savings accounts. But it must be the plan they want, not the plan forced on them by our government. Thirdly, we should give our state governors the resources and flexibility they need with Medicaid to make sure no one is left out. Fourth, we should implement legal reforms that protect patients and doctors from unnecessary costs that drive up the price of insurance and work to bring down the artificially high price of drugs and bring them down immediately. And finally, the time has come to give Americans the freedom to purchase health insurance across state lines. Which will create a truly competitive national marketplace that will bring costs way down and provide far better care. So important. Everything that is broken in our country can be fixed. Every problem can be solved. And every hurting family can find healing and hope. Our citizens deserve this, and so much more. So why not join forces and finally get the job done and get it done right? On this and so many other things, Democrats and Republicans should get together and unite for the good of our country and for the good of the American people. My administration wants to work with members of both parties to make child care accessible and affordable, to help ensure new parents that they have paid family leave. To invest in women's health and to promote clean air and clean water and to rebuild our military and our infrastructure. True love for our people requires us to find common ground, to advance the common good, and to cooperate on behalf of every American child who deserves a much brighter future. An incredible young woman is with us this evening who should serve as an inspiration to us all. Today is Rare Disease Day, and joining us in the gallery is a rare disease survivor, Megan Crowley. Megan Megan was diagnosed with Pompe disease, a rare and serious illness, when she was 15 months old. She was not expected to live past 5. On receiving this news, Megan's dad, John, fought with everything he had to save the life of his precious child. He founded a company to look for a cure and helped develop the drug that saved Megan's life. Today, she is 20 years old and a sophomore at Notre Dame. Megan's story is about the unbounded power of a father's love for a daughter. But our slow and burdensome approval process at the Food and Drug Administration keeps too many advances, like the one that saved Megan's life, from reaching those in need. If we slash the restraints, not just at the FDA, but across our government, then we will be blessed with far more miracles just like Megan. In fact, our children will grow up in a nation of miracles. But to achieve this future, we must enrich the mind and the souls of every American child. Education is the civil rights issue of our time. I am calling upon members of both parties to pass an education bill that funds school choice for disadvantaged youth, including millions of African American and Latino children. These families should be free to choose the public, private, charter, magnet, religious, or homeschool that is right for them. Joining us tonight in the gallery is a remarkable woman, Denisha Merriweather. As a young girl, Denisha struggled in school and failed third grade twice. But then she was able to enroll in a private center for learning, great learning center, with the help of a tax credit and a scholarship program. Today, she is the first in her family to graduate not just from high school, but from college. Later this year, she will get her master's degree in social work. We want all children to be able to break the cycle of poverty, just like Denisha. But to break the cycle of poverty, we must also break the cycle of violence. The murder rate in 2015 experienced its largest single-year increase in nearly half a century. In Chicago, more than 4,000 people were shot last year alone, and the murder rate so far this year has been even higher. This is not acceptable in our society. Every American child should be able to grow up in a safe community, to attend a great school, and to have access to a high-paying job. But to create this future, we must work with, not against, the men and women of law enforcement. We must build bridges of cooperation and trust, not drive the wedge of disunity and really it's what it is, division. It's pure, unadulterated division. We have to unify. Police and sheriffs are members of our community. They're friends and neighbors, they're mothers and fathers, sons and daughters, and they leave behind loved ones every day who worry about whether or not they'll come home safe and sound. We must support the incredible men and women of law enforcement. And we must support the victims of crime. I have ordered the Department of Homeland Security to create an office to serve American victims. The office is called VOICE, Victims of Immigration Crime Engagement. We are providing a voice to those who have been ignored by our media and silenced by special interests. Joining us in the audience tonight are four very brave Americans whose government failed them. Their names are Jamil Shaw, Susan Oliver, Jenna Oliver, and Jessica Davis. Jamil's 17-year-old son was viciously murdered by an illegal immigrant gang member who had just been released from prison. Jamil Shaw Jr. was an incredible young man with unlimited potential who was getting ready to go to college where he would have excelled as a great college quarterback. But he never got the chance. His father, who is in the audience tonight, has become a very good friend of mine. Jamil, thank you. Thank you. Also with us are Susan Oliver and Jessica Davis. Their husbands, Deputy Sheriff Danny Oliver and Detective Michael Davis, were slain in the line of duty in California. They were pillars of their community. These brave men were viciously gunned down by an illegal immigrant with a criminal record and 2 prior deportations, should have never been in our country. Sitting with Susan is her daughter, Jenna. Jenna, I want you to know that your father was a hero and that tonight you have the love of an entire country supporting you and praying for you. To Jamil, Jenna, Susan, and Jessica, I want you to know that we will never stop fighting for justice. Your loved ones will never, ever be forgotten. We will always honor their memory. Finally, to keep America safe, we must provide the men and women of the United States military with the tools they need to prevent war. If they must, they have to fight, and they only have to win. I am sending Congress a budget that rebuilds the military, eliminates the defense sequester, and calls for one of the largest increases in national defense spending in American history. My budget will also increase funding for our veterans. Our veterans have delivered for this nation, and now we must deliver for them. The challenges we face as a nation are great, but our people are even greater, and none are greater or braver than those who fight for America in uniform. We are blessed to be joined tonight by Corinne Owens, the widow of U.S. Navy Special Operator, Senior Chief William Ryan Owens. Ryan died as he lived, a warrior and a hero, battling against terrorism and securing our nation. I just spoke to our great General Mattis just now, who reconfirmed that, and I quote, Ryan was a part of a highly successful raid that generated large amounts of vital intelligence that will lead to many more victories in the future against our enemy. Ryan's legacy is etched into eternity. Thank you. Thank you. And Ryan is looking down right now. You know that. And he's very happy because I think he just broke a record. For as the Bible teaches us, there is no greater act of love than to lay down one's life for one's friends. Ryan laid down his life for his friends, for his country, and for our freedom, and we will never forget Ryan. To those allies who wonder what kind of a friend America will be, look no further than the heroes who wear our uniform. Our foreign policy calls for a direct, robust, and meaningful engagement with the world. It is American leadership based on vital security interests that we share with our allies all across the globe. We strongly support NATO, an alliance forged through the bonds of 2 world wars that dethroned fascism and the Cold War and defeated communism. But our partners must meet their financial obligations. And now, based on our very strong and frank discussions, they are beginning to do just that. In fact, I can tell you the money is pouring in. Very nice. Very nice. We expect our partners, whether in NATO, the Middle East, or in the Pacific, to take a direct and meaningful role in both strategic and military operations and pay their fair share of the cost, have to do that. We will respect historic institutions, but we will respect the foreign rights of all nations, and they have to respect our rights as a nation also. Free nations are the best vehicle for expressing the will of the people, and America respects the right of all nations to chart their own path. My job is not to represent the world. My job is to represent the United States of America. But we know that America is better off when there is less conflict, not more. We must learn from the mistakes of the past. We have seen the war and the destruction that have ravaged and raged throughout the world, all across the world. The only long-term solution for these humanitarian disasters, in many cases, is to create the conditions where displaced persons can safely return home and begin the long, long process of rebuilding. America is willing to find new friends and to forge new partnerships where shared interests align. We want harmony and stability, not war and conflict. We want peace wherever peace can be found. America is friends today with former enemies. Some of our closest allies decades ago fought on the opposite side of these terrible, terrible wars. This history should give us all faith in the possibilities for a better world. Hopefully, the 250th year for America will see a world that is more peaceful, more just, and more free. On our 100th anniversary in 1876, citizens from across our nation came to Philadelphia to celebrate America's centennial. At that celebration, the country's builders and artists and inventors showed off their wonderful creations. Alexander Graham Bell displayed his telephone for the first time. Remington unveiled the first typewriter. An early attempt was made at electric light. Thomas Edison showed an automatic telegraph and an electric pen. Imagine the wonders our country could know in America's 250th year. Think of the marvels we can achieve if we simply set free the dreams of our people. Cures to the illnesses that have always plagued us are not too much to hope. American footprints on distant worlds are not too big a dream. Millions lifted from welfare to work is not too much to expect. And streets where mothers are safe from fear, schools where children learn in peace, and jobs where Americans prosper and grow are not too much to ask. When we have all of this, we will have made America greater than ever before. For all Americans, this is our vision. This is our mission, but we can only get there together. We are one people with one destiny. We all bleed the same blood. We all salute the same great American flag. And we all are made by the same God. When we fulfill this vision, when we celebrate our 250 years of glorious freedom, we will look back on tonight as when this new chapter of American greatness began. The time for small thinking is over. The time for trivial fights is behind us. We just need the courage to share the dreams that fill our hearts, the bravery to express the hopes that stir our souls, and the confidence to turn those hopes and those dreams into action. From now on, America will be empowered by our aspirations, not burdened by our fears, inspired by the future, not bound by failures of the past, and guided by a vision, not blinded by our doubts. I am asking all citizens to embrace this renewal of the American spirit. I am asking all members of Congress to join me in dreaming big and bold and daring things for our country. I am asking everyone watching tonight to seize this moment, believe in yourselves, believe in your future, and believe once more in America. Thank you, God bless you, and God bless the United States.
I hope you enjoyed President Trump's speech, his joint address to Congress. His first one he's done. Next year will be called the State of the Union. We are back here at Right Side Broadcasting Studios. I am Steve Lookner. We want to get your feedback on the speech. What did you think of it? Was everything you wanted in it? Was there something you wanted that wasn't in it? What are your opinions? Let me know. We're going to be on for a few minutes here, so if you want to, shoot me, direct message me on Twitter. I'm at Lookner, at Lookner, or email me, steve.lookner@rsbn.tv. Reach me one of those two ways. I would love to know what you think, what you thought of the speech, and what what your thoughts of the whole evening were. It was quite a spectacle in there going on, as it always is for this speech, but especially with President Trump. So very interesting to watch. Also, thank you for watching, those of you who've been watching so far, and thank you to the moderators. And this will be the one time we ask for this. We just want to say we want to bring you more coverage like this. But if you'd like to donate to us to let us keep bringing you coverage and more live events like CPAC and President Trump's rallies, we'd really appreciate it. You can do that at either rsbn.tv/donate, that's rsbn.tv/donate, or go to gofundme.com/nextgenrsbn. That's gofundme.com/nextgenrsbn. Or if you're in the YouTube page watching us and you're in the chat room, there's a little dollar sign there. You can click on the dollar icon and contribute to us. We don't take big donors. We don't want people to tell us what to say or how to program for you. So those donations help us. And we're a small independent broadcasting company, and we're giving you an alternative for shows like this and events like this somewhere else to watch and to come on and talk with each other and to see it. So, and we really appreciate those of you who donated so far. Thank you so much. We couldn't be more appreciative of that. We really, you've let us survive so far, so thank you. Okay, I would love to hear what you folks had to think about the speech tonight. I want to know. Smith Radio says, speech was the best I've heard from any president. Thank you, Smith Radio, for the comment. Then we have, let's see, this is from Llama X. Llama X says, much better than I expected. Awesome, best speech. Love to see paying homage to Scalia, Megyn, Ryan, etc. Yeah, so there were those moments when he talked about Justice Scalia's widow, and when he talked about the girl who was sick, but her dad had started the company and found the medicine to help her stay alive. Very inspiring moments in the speech. So thank you for that comment. We have, I'm just going to read some other comments. The Eldridge God says, we're going to Mars. It's about time. Cindy Hoffman says, best speech ever. Even the haters couldn't hate what he said. And again, we'd love to hear what you have to say. If you want to get your comment in, direct message me on Twitter at Lookner, at Lookner, or email me at steve.lookner@rsbn.tv. And this is the post show. We're covering the post show of the President Trump's joint address to Congress. And I got to say that it was quite a moment to me when, you know it's going to happen, but when the Sergeant at Arms comes out and says, ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States, and Donald Trump walks out, it's still like, wow, he really is president. So it's to me, there's always that sort of wow factor, and we're a little used to it by now. But I don't know if you really ever get used to it because it was such an unexpected thing. And so I think it's a neat thing to remember every time he comes out for something like this, how improbable it was, say a year or two ago, that he would ever be president. So I want to check my email and see what else you thought about this speech. We have, this is an email from Alicia Simmons. Hello again. I am Jessica, as you probably know. Hello, Steve. Tonight's speech was eventful, although Trump has decided to make more executive orders. How do you think the Antifa guys will try to do if Trump finally pushes back the administration being completely incorrect on their assumption of Trump not promising what he declares? So it sounds like you're saying, what does Antifa, there's a couple things going on here, and I think I would like to say, can you clarify this question? There's a couple of ways I could interpret it, but it sounds like you're saying, what will the Antifa people think if, and the Antifa is, it's anti-fascist people. What will they do if Trump finally pushes back the administration? So it sounds like the more general question here is, what worries does President Trump have from the anti-fascist people? Well, I think those people are out there, and stuff will just, I don't think he can really worry about them because they're going to complain about certain things no matter what. So I think President Trump at this point is probably just going to do what the best is he thinks for the country. And maybe certain incidents come up. I mean, there seem to be certain incidents, for example, the protests over Milo, where the Antifa people kind of just jump on board and do it. So it's kind of maybe out of President Trump's control if these certain triggering incidents might happen and they jump on and start rioting or whatever. But I think he'll probably do just I'm pretty sure he'll do what he thinks is best for the country and deal with the protesters as they come. So, but thank you for the question from Alicia. We have here, This is from Limey Barrett. Limey says, Trump's opposition have proved beyond a doubt that they have the lowest IQ of American people. They will never be of any real value during his presidency, so why even give them any coverage at all? So I don't know if you're directing that at us or towards the press in general. I think if you're a general news station, you want to know what's going on with the rest of the country. And you also remember this, President Trump, he's got an election in 4 years as president, if he decides to run again. And in 2 years, less than 2 years, like a year and a half now, we have an election for Congress coming up. So it's important to stay aware of what the opposition is thinking. You don't want to totally just forget about them, because some people might have said that, Hillary Clinton did this with the people, who weren't totally supportive of her and didn't understand where they were coming from and didn't understand how much opposition there was to her. So I think just in terms of elections, you want to be aware of what the other side thinks. And also, President Trump, he's not just the president of his supporters, he's the president of all Americans. So he needs to be aware of what all Americans are thinking, even if he might not agree with it. Let's go back and see if there are more comments. I think you write some more comments in. Let's see here. San Diego Coupon says, outstanding RSBN network coverage, and the president was extremely presidential. A winner for all. Thank you, San Diego Coupons. By the way, I should mention, if you want to follow Right Side Broadcasting on Twitter, our Twitter is at RSB Network. And if you want to follow me, I'm at Lookner, at Lookner. Georgia Y'all says, great speech. Thanks for bringing these. She says, donate. Well, thank you, Georgia Y'all. Georgia Y'all says, donate. Again, if you want to donate, rsbn.tv/donate or gofundme.com/nextgenrsbn. We appreciate the donations. They make our coverage possible. They keep us in business, to be quite honest. Let's see. DV Dub says, would have been nice to hear a speech written by Trump rather than one prepared for him. That wasn't Trump, and we all know it. DV Dub, I get where you're coming from. So one of the things I personally respond to with President Trump and responded to during the campaign, and I think a lot of you did too, is that he didn't feel like a politician. He felt like he just spoke, what he thought, like a normal person spoke. And personally, I prefer when politicians just speak from their heart and not from speeches. But on the other side, I think there's a group of people who would say, look, President Trump, he had to be very careful. There's a lot he wanted to do in this speech. And if you try to just say an hour speech off the top of your head, you're going to leave stuff out and miss stuff. And so that's the argument for having it written. So, and just sticking to it. But I get what you say, DV Dub, because I do feel when he reads from prompter, it's a little less truly him. But I get the argument of somebody who says, look, this kind of speech, you got to be really careful what you say and make sure you get to everything and say it exactly the way you want it. I could have seen him going either way on this. I didn't know which way he was going to go, but you are right that he went for the prompter, written for him version. As you said, you would have rather seen one written by Trump rather than one prepared for him. I'm guessing he took part in the writing of it, but I guess what you're saying. So DV Dub, it's an interesting comment. I see what you're saying. The debate will rage on about how President Trump should do his speeches. And I'm sure we will see more speeches in the future where he is not reading so much and sort of doing the unfiltered, like the rally Trump when he would be in the campaign rallies. But thank you for the comment. Bernie Rudolph says, great speech by our president. God was with him, but Dems will find something to criticize. Great tribute to Ryan. So thank you, Bernie, for your comment. Yes, I'm sure the Dems will find something to criticize. There is probably, I'm sure of it somewhere airing right now, a Democratic response, so you can watch that if you want to know the criticisms. But that's sort of the way how politics goes. We have a comment from L. Petty St. Evans. L. Petty St. Evans. She says, excellent speech tonight. I accept the challenge to bring optimism for my and my son's future. Thank you, L. Petty. I'm glad you're going to be optimistic and you're accepting the challenge. We have a comment from, hold on here. This is from Therese Shermer, and Therese says, this speech reinforced that we did the right thing. He cares about this country and its people. Thank you, Therese. So Therese, you feel this speech confirms your vote. I assume you voted for President Trump, and it's confirming that you think you did the right thing and you think we did the right thing. Thank you. Joanne Goldsnyder says, Joanne, frequent viewer, thank you. She says, Steve, President Trump rocked it. Now that's a president. Thank you, Joanne. And again, we're on for a few minutes. We're taking your comments. We're getting your feedback. We want to hear from you. What did you think about the speech? If you want to send in a comment, either go to my Twitter, which is at Lookner, at Lookner, and direct message me. I'll get it right here on my iPad. Or email me at steve.lookner@rsbn.tv. Let's see some other comments here. Prince Godfrey says, greatest speech I've heard in many decades. From an Indian, America is blessed. Make the most of make the most of POTUS Trump America. We love you. Thank you, Prince Godfrey. We have here, let's see. Zach says, love his deregulation policies. Still an above average speech. Cindy Hoffman says, I muted Fox, would rather listen to you. Thank you, Cindy. Caucasian Male says, hi, Steve. Just wanted to say, Trump said we defeated communism. This is not true. The threat of communism is as real as ever. Thank you, Caucasian Male. What else? Liza says, so any thoughts or clue as to why the Democratic women were wearing white? So I believe I had heard early in the day it was some sort of protest. And when I was out there listening to the speech, I meant to, when I had a chance, go online and search what the whole women in Congress wearing white, I think it was maybe Democratic women wearing white in Congress was all about. I assume it was some kind of protest, but I ended up, I was dealing with some stuff out there and also like spending a lot of time watching the speech and paying attention to the speech, and I didn't have time to look that up. So I'm guessing there is a specific reason why they wore white, I'm guessing it involved protest, but I can't be sure. I haven't had the time to look it up. So if anybody has any insight on that, some link or something they found, let me know. So good question, Liza. I wish I had a better answer for you. T. Doom says, nice reporting. What kind of name is Lookner? My ancestors, 2 generations ago, there was a bunch of siblings who were all Russian. They came over at the start of the 20th century from Russia. I want to say it was 8 or 9 siblings. They had some very long last name. The name clearly at Ellis Island, I think it was at Ellis Island, but clearly when they came here, it just got changed to Lookner because the Lookners in this country are basically all from the same group of siblings who came. So it's a name that was, it's the kind, yes, what kind of name of it? It's the kind of name they give you when your original name is too long or messy for people to pronounce, and they give you that name when you come to the country. So that's what kind of name it is. Thank you, T. Doom, for the question. We have Robert E. Waring says, seriously, how can any American be against anything President Trump brilliantly said tonight? You've got to be brain dead or a commie. Thank you, Robert E. Waring, for your comment. Robbie Ripke says, this speech is going to make America awesome again. It's time to come together, Robbie. Thank you for your comment, Robbie. I think it would be great if America came together. And I think, President Trump wants people to come together, and he wants us have this move forward. And I think he would be happy if Congress could get together and pass a lot of stuff that he thought helped the country. So we will see what happens. More comments. I'm sorry, Jake says, go again, Jake. So I should say, by the way, in the chat room, I want to say thanks to the moderators again for moderating the chat. And also, if you're in the chat, just know if you want to donate, we have this dollar symbol in the chat room on YouTube. If you click on the dollar symbol, it's like the easiest way to donate because you just click on the dollar symbol. And again, thank you to everybody who's donated so far today, this morning, during CPAC, and all before, because I keep saying this, but it's true. You make us survive. You make us able to be an alternative to the mainstream media, and you are the ones that are letting us do this and give you an alternative type of coverage that we think you want to see. So we really appreciate the donors. Thank you so much. And again, if you're in the chat room and you want to donate, just click on that dollar sign. Even a small amount, it doesn't really matter how small. We so appreciate it. Every little bit helps. Thank you so much. And again, thank you to the moderators for moderating the chat the whole time tonight. We really appreciate it. Bertha Franco writes in, POTUS is great. This is what we asked for. Thanks for bringing Right Side News. I think white is the new green uniform of Dems. The green uniform, I think, is a reference, and I can't tell what you're referring to. Maybe I'm an idiot, Bertha. So let me know if you want to clarify what the green uniform is referring to. UnPC Jax Jags Rock writes, I was inspired. He was amazing and very presidential. I actually have hope for the future. The Dems looked like idiots. I want to just focus on this one thing you said, he was very presidential. I did think that President Trump made an effort tonight to be like, not very emotional and sort of like not like angry and like sort of when you say presidential, he tried to do this speech in a way presidents have traditionally done it. He was reading off a prompter. He was measured. He did say his views. He wasn't catering his views to the Democrats or something like that. But at the same time, his tone was definitely a different tone than we've seen at some points, and I think he tried to be more presidential in his tone. So interesting that you point that out on PC Jags Rock. We're going to be on a few more minutes. Would love to hear the comments you have. I've really enjoyed hearing your comments so far. Let us know. Did you like the speech? Did you not like the speech? What did you like? What did you not like? If you want to email me or comment to me, just go to two ways to do that. Go to Twitter. I'm at Lookner, at Lookner. Follow me if you'd like while you're there. But even if you don't follow me, direct message me on Twitter, at Lookner, and I'll get your message here, and I'll get your comment, and I can read it on the air. Or you can email me at steve.lookner at rsbn.tv. That information, I believe, is on your screen right now. Okay, we have a message from Cindy Hoffman. She says, the move is a nod. You're saying the white. Wearing white, it's a nod to the women's suffrage movement, which encouraged followers to dress in white as a symbol of purity. Thank you, Cindy, for that clarification. We have some more comments coming in here. David Howland says, awesome speech. The media will somehow turn it into a negative and compare Trump to Hitler. So a couple of you have written in tonight that you really liked the speech, but you thought that Democrats and or the media are going to find a way to spin this in a negative way. We'll see what happens. Thank you, David Howland, for the comment. We have Great American Future says, it was a great speech. Real Donald Trump did an amazing job. He is so my president. Thank God for Trump. Make America great again. Thank you, Great American Future. Let's see. Andrew S. says, best thing about this speech is that the American left are portraying themselves as the enemies of the American people. Thank you, Andrew, for your comment. This is a comment from, I just had it here. Where is it? Here it is. This is from, hold on. It's the Twitter name is in Hebrew, but it's Henoch79, at Henoch79. At Henoch79 says, the Democrats looked really bad not standing and applauding throughout the speech. It truly shows just how petty they are. They are truly falling apart. I love the speech. 100% Trump, just polished up a bit with professional. So thank you. Is it Henoch? Henoch79? Yes. So I will say this. This is kind of I feel like this tradition is weird here where like half the people clap and then the other party sort of sits and looks angry. Because the other party, when they sit and look angry, is always going to look like sort of like party poopers and like Debbie Downers and not supporting the president. And I sort of feel like, and look, I'd say the same thing if a Democrat was speaking and the Republicans were all sort of sitting there angrily. Like, I guess the tradition is you kind of have to do that if you're in the opposition party. But I agree with you, Henoch, and then it kind of looks like you're like getting in the way of things. And like, and I there's got to be a better alternative for the people who aren't in the controlling party than sitting there with their arms folded and looking angry. Maybe like polite applause. Like, I feel like if you're the Democrats, you don't have to stand up and applaud, but maybe just do this. You're like, if you just do this, that gets across that maybe you're not as supportive as the Republicans are, but you're not sort of like sitting there looking angry at the president. I mean, it's sort of like borderlines on rude. And again, I would say the same thing if a Democratic president, if Hillary Clinton was speaking and the Republicans were all like this the whole time. I mean, you can be angry, but it is the president, it is Congress, and they're trying to give proposals to help the country as a whole. So it just seems like this tradition of like crossing your arms and looking angry the whole speech doesn't seem that seemly. There's got to be a better alternative. Anyways, just my little 2 cents. More comments. John Stanton says, Trump was so good for America. The Democrats don't know whether they should stand or sit, and yet he got many to stand in defiance of Pelosi. Thank you, John, for the comment. And there did seem to see moments where people didn't know whether to stand or sit. I'm guessing that probably happens in an hour speech, and you're looking around and you don't know whether to stand or sit for a lot of those congressmen. So probably interesting thoughts, and you probably look around and say, like, who else is standing or sitting or whatever. We have Mel Schaefer sent me a link from the Washington Examiner to why they wrote war white. Why the Democratic women in Congress wore white. And it says, when they wear white, it says, They will be wearing, Lois Frankel from Florida said they will be wearing white to, quote, unite against any attempts by the Trump administration to roll back the incredible progress women have made in the last century. So that was according to Lois Frankel, Democrat of Florida. And also Frankel also asked other Democratic members of the House to wear white to stand in solidarity with the women of our nation. So it sounds like it's a pro-women thing. I guess I get confused when something like this happens because it's like, has President Trump proposed things which will roll back where women have the progress they've made? I don't recall anything he's proposed so far that I saw as him rolling back protections for women or something. So I don't know if there's something specific they have in mind, but they're free to wear whatever they want. It's just I'm sort of confused by that comment. But thank you very much to Mel Schaefer for sending me that link. I appreciate it. Buzz Feedster says, Donald Trump gave an outstanding presidential speech tonight. I'm happy that Right Side Network afforded me the opportunity to watch our president and addressed Congress online. You're welcome. Thank you for watching, Buzz Feedster. We appreciate you watching and you sending in a comment after. Candy Ogburn says, oops, I lost your comment, Candy. The speech was amazing. It's so wonderful to have a president and first family we can be proud of. Trump truly loves America and its people. So all your commenters so far seem very happy with the speech. I didn't know exactly what comments we would get, but we are getting a bunch. Miss Sherry says, it was a tough crowd on the left side of the room tonight. I agree with you, Miss Sherry. Almost zero engagement. Sends the message, arrogance over American pride. So this, Miss Sherry, thank you for the comment. And I'd sort of be interested in going back now and watching a couple of previous State of the Union addresses and these kind of speeches. Like, I would sort of wonder, like, for President Obama's State of the Union addresses, and his joint address to joint session in his first year. I know the Republicans weren't standing up and cheering every time, but what was their attitude? Were they sort of sitting and being quiet but not looking angry and glum? Or how did their reaction compare to the Democrats tonight? I wish I had the footage in front of me in hours to just watch it right now and but I obviously can't do that while I'm on with you. But I think it's an interesting question of, was this the same reaction that the Republicans had to when President Obama gave such a speech, or was it different? I would be interested in knowing. I don't know off the top of my head. Miss Sherry, that's a very interesting comment, though. So, okay, we have a few minutes left here of coverage. We're going to wrap it up pretty soon. But if you want to get a last-minute comment in, direct message me on Twitter. I'm at Lookner, at Lookner. Or email me at steve.lookner@rsbn.tv. Really appreciate your feedback so far. Oh, we got a bunch of emails here, so let me read them. This is from Cornell Anton. Cornell Anton says, the speech was very uplifting and offered a very optimistic view for the future of America. It was very much America first and a rebuilding of America like we've never seen before. The Obamacare repeal is real, and Trump reiterated that. I wish he would have said it would be a complete repeal and vouchers for those who qualify so insurance companies can compete. God bless America. Thank you, Cornell Anton, for your comment. And two things you pointed out that I noticed that I want to just highlight here is you said it was very much America first and a call for a rebuilding of America. And he certainly did highlight those things. There was a lot of America first stuff in there. And he talked about the whole infrastructure plan he wanted to do. So that, I think going forward, as we look at what President Trump tries to get through Congress, it certainly seems like an infrastructure bill is on the horizon. Maybe that's something even Democrats can get behind. We'll see about that. So thank you for that email. We have some other emails here. This is from, hold on a second. That's not the one I wanted. This is from Cove Radio. Cove Radio says, hi, Steve. This address, like always, isn't to Congress, but to the American people, and we are his leverage against the party of resistance. He is indeed a populist president, and that is the kind of president the two-party, one agenda crowd fear most, principled. Cove Radio, you make a really good point here, and I think it's a good point to always keep in mind that President Trump, when he's speaking even tonight, is not just speaking to his audience in the room, he's speaking to the American people. I agree with you, I get that sense with him. And so you do, and he has populism has these very negative connotations to some people, but I think he's populist in the sense, at least this, that he's speaking to the average person out there. And so I agree with you, Cove Radio, that when you watch him speak, you have to also look at it as he's speaking to the nation at large with what he says. So a good point to keep in mind. I appreciate it. Let me get to your emails here. Oh, I need a sip of water. Hold on, real quick. We have our next message is, thank you for all the messages. I appreciate it. I like reading all of your comments. This is from Melissa Pam Bianchi. Melissa says, thank you, RSBN, you guys rock. You're welcome, Melissa. Thought the speech was strong and a call for the opposition to get on board. However, I noticed many did not stand or clap for many things he said. Thought the Dems were supposed to be the party of the people. So a bunch of you, like Melissa, really didn't like the way Democrats behaved during the speech. Again, I'd be interested in seeing how this compared to, if you watch one of President Obama's speeches to the joint session of Congress, were the Republicans acting in the same way? But even if they were, it sounds like a bunch of you thought that the Democrats were overly sort of like negative in their response, or like overly glum, or, you know, party poopers or whatever. So interesting response from you. This is, let's see, hold on. I messed up and got away from my email page. Let me see if I can do this right this time. This is from Steve Junker. Steve says, I think he united us all in his vision and handed off the battle with biased media to us going forward. Steve Junker. Thank you, Steve. Some more emails people wrote in. This one is from Dennis Neal. Dennis Neal writes, President Trump covered lots of ground and furthered the optimism that has already taken hold. This was the most hopeful speech since JFK. So thank you, Dennis. A number of you, like Dennis, thought the speech was an optimistic one, and you're pointing that out. Thanks for the comment. This email is a question. Question from Francis Purcell, 20. Can you guys interview Mark Dice? Mark Dice, very popular conservative Twitter personality and media personality. We will put it on our list of requests. If you have other requests, always feel free to send them in. We appreciate them. You can always write to feedback@rsbn.tv. All right, we only have a couple minutes here. Got to go soon, but I want to get to as many of your comments as possible. Andrew S. wants to add that I am happy that Trump also spoke of a rare disease survivor, Megan Crowley. I also suffer from a rare disease myself called hereditary spastic paraplegia. I hope he raises awareness to find a cure for it. Thank you, Andrew. And thank you for being open with us about that. And best wishes to you. Sorry you're suffering from that, but best wishes to you from the family here at Right Side. Norway for Trump says, awesome speech and presentation by President Donald John Trump. I would have wanted a signal that Islam in America will become a point of special attention and scrutiny. Islam is the most dangerous threat America is facing. I feel it's important that the administration at this early stage makes it clear that they will be searching mosques and put surveillance on Muslims in general to spare more Americans from jihad. Now, thank you, Norway. Norway, I know you know a lot about this issue. So Norway, if you're talking about like the searching mosques and surveillance on Muslims in this country, I respect your opinion that that's the thing we should be doing. That will get some opposition, though, because there's some people that don't like that idea. So if that is what's going to happen, we will see what happens. We'll see if it's proposed. I'm sure there will be some debate on it. And I am sure, Norway, you will have some strong thoughts on that debate. So feel free to keep sending your thoughts in. We always like to hear them. Let's see. Cindy says, say something about, I guess somebody donated $100 in Super Chat tonight, or multiple people, which is incredible. So, wow, that's like so generous of you. Even if you donated $1, we really appreciate it. But thank you, those people who donated. I guess Cindy said they donated tonight in the chat room. That's amazing. Again, easy way to donate in the chat is you just click on that dollar icon in the chat. Even if you donate $1, boy, if everybody who watches donated $1, that itself would be a big help. But to repeat, your donations help us survive here. We wouldn't be on the air without them. You've helped us grow so far. You've helped us bring all the Donald Trump rallies to you. You've helped us cover events like CPAC, and you help us give you an alternative to news coverage from the mainstream media. So everyone who's donated so far, we owe our existence to you, and we thank you. Okay, so we have about 5 minutes. That's it. Let me see how many comments I can get to in 5 minutes. Miss Sherry said, you could definitely tell that Pence and Ryan were having a great time tonight and were proud of their president. Good point, Miss Sherry, about watching Pence and Ryan in the background. When I was watching them, it didn't seem to me like they were forcing themselves to like get excited. It seemed like they were very into the speech and genuinely happy with a lot of the points President Trump was saying. So I agree with you there. Thank you. Larry W. Powers says, great president, and Right Side Broadcasting did great. Thank you, Larry. Video slightly ahead of audio, but good job. Thanks, Steve. I didn't notice that. I'll look at it. We will look at it again. So thank you for the heads up. Let's see. Smythe Radio said, let's see. It said, you said, Chris, hold on a second, Smythe Radio. You're saying somebody stole your line. Did you hear Lookner read it on RSBN? I'm not sure what you're referring to, Smythe Radio. I'm a bit confused. You have a tweet inside here, so maybe it's just me. I'm in a bit of a rush because we're trying to get to as many comments as possible. So sorry, Smythe Radio, I can't clarify this right now. Buzz Feedster says, Donald Trump gave an outstanding presidential speech tonight. Thank you, Buzz Feedster. Daryl Graham, who we interviewed on our coverage. He gave us a great interview when we were covering the inauguration. There's a video we have, like a 5-hour video called like inauguration coverage from the streets of DC or something. And Daryl Graham, he gave us an amazing interview. He's black, but he gave us a perspective from a black American, not like a lot you normally would see on the mainstream media. He supports President Trump, and he has some issues with the way some black issues are covered in the media and the way a lot of black Americans, he thinks, approach certain issues. So I would highly recommend you to go watch Daryl Graham's interview. Whether you agree with him or not, he's very well spoken, has a lot of interesting perspectives. But anyways, Daryl Graham says, Bro Steve just got on Twitter last night, wanted to thank you for that interview at the inaugural. Right Side is awesome. By the way, thank you, Daryl. Thank you for writing. If you want to follow Daryl Graham on Twitter, it's at Crossman, at CROSSMAN 1986, at Crossman 1986. So Daryl's a really interesting guy, and he has a really unique perspective, so I would definitely check him out. But really the thing to check out is go to the video from the inauguration. Again, it's like 5 hours, and it's like something like inauguration coverage from the streets, what's going on in the streets or something. And the screenshot is like a bunch of people walking down the street going to the inauguration. And Daryl, I believe, is towards the end of that video, maybe like between 4 and 5 hours in. You can find him there. So thank you, Daryl, for writing in. Let's see if we have like 2 minutes left. I just want to make sure I get to all of the emails that people sent in. Thank you so much for all of the comments and the messages. And we love a couple more. Real quick, Tom Bellis says, hi, Steve. President Trump's speech was well thought out, on point, and addressed the people of our country. Loved how he pointed out that it's time to give service to our country. First, sets dream, create and build. We are a very generous people, but we need to address the issues and get the U.S. economy running hot. Doing a great job, Steve. My best to the team. Thank you so much, Tom. Thank you for the praise. We appreciate you watching and your message. Hold on. We have a message here. Stanley Clevenger says, Steve, is there a plan to follow up the speech on RSBN with captions available, like on youtube.com? Love what you're doing, and especially that truth has a better forum for us conservative Christian citizens. This is from Stanley O. Thank you, Stanley O. We appreciate the kind words. For captions, we'd love to do it, but at this point, we don't have, honestly, enough manpower to sit and caption all of our things. Even I don't know exactly how that works on YouTube, but we personally don't have the manpower to do captions for our videos. So it's a request we've gotten before. We would love to have it, obviously. I mean, we would have captions for maybe people. There might be people out there who are hearing impaired and would like to see the captions. We would love that. It's on our request list. So know that we get this request and we're considering it. We will look into it. But unfortunately, it's one of these things. It's like one of a number of things we want to do here, and just with the resources we have to pick and choose things from all these things we want to do. So, but it's on the list, and we will keep it on the list. So thank you, Stanley, for writing in and asking us that. Okay, last one. Please read our comment. This is from Christian Portella. You're getting the last comment, and then we have to sign off, unfortunately. Hi, Steve. President Trump's speech was great and powerful. However, I would like to have heard him speak about the great evil that is abortion, the murder of children. We who are pro-life need to fight for the unborn and also show support for those who have unplanned pregnancies so they know they will be helped, so they in turn do not turn to death camps like Planned Parenthood. And speaking of them, Planned Parenthood needs to be defunded. So, Christiane, thank you and God bless you in RSBN. Thank you, Christiane. So we have a view from Christiane. She wanted President Trump to speak more about abortion, and she wants that's a very strong issue for her. So thank you, Christiane. Sadly, there are a few more comments, but we have to go. We will be doing this kind of coverage in the future, so you will be able to comment again. But I want to say, first of all, thank you all so much for watching. We hope you've enjoyed this coverage. We want to give you an alternative place to watch the speech, and we're really happy you joined us. Thank you to the moderators who moderated for several hours tonight and who moderate constantly and are not paid to make the chat room a welcoming, fun, safe place to participate in the chat. Thank you. Thank you to Jake and Joe and Brandon and Micah for all your help producing this today. Really appreciate it. Thank you to everybody who donated. I know there were people who donated tonight and today and earlier today and before, and everybody who's donated and let us stay in business to do this kind of stuff. And we're trying to do more programming. If you want to donate, every little bit helps us stay in business and do more for you. We rely on your donations. We don't take money from big donors who are going to make us do the kind of coverage they want. We want to do the kind of coverage you want. You can either go to rsbn.tv/donate or gofundme.com/nextgenrsbn, or you can click the $, the dollar icon in the chat room. You can do that. And last, Twitter. If you want to follow me on Twitter, I will give you a heads up whenever we're doing coverage like this in the future, and also breaking news coverage. And also, I love to tweet about politics and get your thoughts back from you. So if you want to follow me on Twitter, I'm at @Lookner, @LOOKNER. And Right Side Broadcasting, follow Right Side Broadcasting at RSB Network. And also, if you want to know about Right Side Broadcasting videos, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Then you'll get informed about all the videos. And if you subscribe to Right Side Broadcasting on YouTube, if you want to know about the videos, click on that little bell icon, because if you click on the bell, then you'll get notifications whenever we do videos and you won't miss any of them. Thank you so much for watching. We do this for you. You're the reason why Right Side exists. You keep us in business, and also you are the reason we do the stuff we do to give you programming, the kind of stuff you want to see. So thank you so much for watching. We hope you've enjoyed this. We will be back with more news in the future. We hope to be covering President Spicer's press briefing tomorrow. We'll keep you informed about that. Also, there might be, from what I've heard, a new President Trump travel ban executive order tomorrow. Any breaking news like that, we will cover. So subscribe to Right Side Broadcasting on YouTube, and follow me on Twitter, and follow the network on Twitter, and you will get informed about all of these things, because we want to bring this stuff to you. Anyways, it's been a great night here. We're really excited to cover this for you. Thank you so much for watching. And thanks again to Jake for staying late and helping produce this, and Joe and Micah and Brandon. So until next time, probably tomorrow at some point, have a great night, and we will see you soon here from Right Side Broadcasting.